And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. The Springboks, it's a Monday, by the way. It's a Monday. And to be honest, I was actually going to be taking the day off. I was going to do what was supposed to be this show, the team prediction show last night. I was going to take the day off today because it was actually my birthday. And then I was like, cool, so, we'll take the day off today. We're going to go play golf. We're going to get ourselves sorted. We're going to have a good time. Then we'll be back tomorrow for the team announcement. And then we got the message yesterday that the team is being announced on a Monday, which is very strange. But regardless of the fact, we have made changes. We have announced the team. We are looking for our first win in Australia since 2013, people. 9 years, by the way. 9 years. I don't know if we're actually playing in Australia next year with the Rugby Championship. So if we were to not win in either of these games this week or next week, it could very well be almost 11 years until we win in Australia again. So it's a pretty big time. In fact, having said about that, I think it's actually very important that we go and win. But we've made a couple of very interesting decisions. That is the team, by the way. That is the team. And, first of all, I quite like the 23. I think it's quite an interesting combination of players. And I think that going back to the 5-3 split is probably the right decision because we have been coming a bit short with our 6-2 bomb squad split again. So I think that it makes a lot of sense to move away from that 6-2 split because we have had so many issues in the last couple of weeks with it. But, that obviously also then that means that a couple of other players get opportunities. But also I think for me, it means that our starting pack needs to be a lot better and really needs to sort of pitch up. So it's pretty much an unchanged pack. In fact, it is an unchanged pack. Which means that Ox and Chair and Joseph Dweber get another opportunity. Now, first of all, I don't even know why Ox Chair is under that much pressure. That's probably his first subpar game he's ever had for the Springboks. So, yeah, I can understand why people were freaking out about that. Although I did think Trevor Nikani was better the week before. I'm not upset that Ox and Chair, I don't think there's much difference between them. And I think that he was so good in the URC, he was another run out. Joseph Dweber's obviously under a lot of pressure and yeah, I think a bit of a sink or swim situation for him now. And again, I still understand the idea of starting him. And, people are going to have an absolute freak out about it. And look, I think I personally would have probably started Malcolm Marx this weekend. And a lot of that would have been to take the spotlight away from Joseph Dweber, to take the pressure off him. And sort of let him come on and maybe not look at it. And as I said, not have so much of a big spotlight on him. But again, I suppose at the same time, if you want to play for the Springboks and you want to actually compete, then you need to pitch up and you need to perform from the get go. So he's going to have to pitch up this weekend. So we shall see. Apart from that, the usual pack. I'm not surprised. I think we will see Evan Etzebeth rotated quite soon. He has played the most rugby out of all the players in the Springbok setup this year. So I think we will see Evan Etzebeth rotated probably either next week or against Argentina. I think we'll see Salman Murat get an opportunity from the get-go because he needs a bit of time off. And then the only change in the backline is Warwick Holland and Faf de Klerk coming in. So Faf de Klerk has completed his protocols, his return to play protocols, and is fit to start. And they're back to Warwick Holland at wing. Now, let's just go through the pack. Now, I think that the frustration was that this pack didn't really manage to dominate New Zealand in that first sort of 20 to 30 minutes. So it's a pack that needs to sort of get going from the get go, and I think they're under a little bit of pressure from that sort of perspective. And again, those two players, mentioned and Dwayne Vermeulen were sort of the big players who were subbed early against the All Blacks, and they're under a lot of pressure. But I think that there's a lot of potential in this pack, but we need to start seeing things. We need to see improvement, and we need to see a good start. We need to see the start we saw in Mbombela, because we scored in the 7th or 8th minute by the time. But basically, the entire sort of match, we never really looked like losing. We always looked like we were going to win that match, and because for once in our lives, we saw a Springbok team start well. Now, up against the Wallaby side, which are under a lot of pressure themselves after a massive thumping at the hands of Argentina. However, they have had quite a few players return from injury, a couple of very key players as well. And they also do have the likes of a Bernard Foley, who is back in the mix. James O'Connor being dropped out of the squad. Bernard Foley has been recalled, very experienced player. So it's going to be quite interesting. Now, going to the comments, I'm seeing everybody having an absolute meltdown about Oxen Chair and Dose of Dweba. I can understand the Dweba doubt. I don't understand the Oxen Chair doubt. As I said, if you actually watched the URC, you would have known he was one of the highest, one of the high performing loose heads in the competition. Arguably, definitely sort of the top 5 best loose heads in the competition. And it was definitely the form loose head of all the South African sides. So, to have one poor 35 minutes and now we need to bin him is a bit weird. Again, but I think the important thing is here, and again, some people haven't realized yet, but the coaching staff has basically said that they are preparing for next year. And we might not like it, but they basically said that we didn't have the 2020 season where we could have blooded a lot of players and we should have built the depth we wanted to build because we didn't play a single game. And as a result, I think that they are very much willing. They'd obviously like to win the Rugby Championship, and they are selecting very strong sides. As much as people are having meltdowns about them, they are selecting close to the strongest sides they can. But there's also definitely every single time we see these selections a need and a vision to try and build depth. We haven't seen Warwick Galant. We saw Warwick Galant in one sort of 45, 50-minute performance. And now we're seeing him get an opportunity on the wing. We saw Alton Yankees play one half, didn't play particularly well. The Springbok coaching staff saying that he hasn't played a lot of rugby, but they know he can do a job. So bang, he's going to get an opportunity off the bench this weekend, and we are going to see, he has to step up. If he doesn't have to step up, then you have to sit there going, right, well, maybe you have to start planning without him. If he does step up, you can sit there saying, cool, he's had a bit of game time now, he's looking a bit like he's back to his best. Same with the France Day. We haven't seen France Day this year. So it's sad not to see Villaroo after the cameo he had in New Zealand. But again, it's not a case of Villaroo being dropped. It's a case of we want to see what France Day can bring to the table. And we think that right now, this is the opportunity to do it. So every single time we see a selection, I do understand, I can see a vision of 2023. And I'm seeing people melt down and predict massive defeats. Just try backing Oaks for once, like Joseph David has not received a single bit of backing across 2 weeks now, and I think it's very sad to see that, we can't give players the benefit of the doubt, and we can't actually understand that players will have an off game, but they still got a lot to contribute. It's like all the Alton Yankees said. Alton Yankees is going to play 50 tests for the Springboks, and there are going to be so many people that are going to be absolutely furious at the fact that he will, because he's playing his 46 tests on Saturday, by the way, if he comes on. So after Saturday, I reckon he'll probably play again next weekend. He'll be probably sitting about 3 tests short. So he could be playing his 50th test this year, which is not bad for somebody who apparently should never play anything more than, I think people have said that he shouldn't even play club rugby. So for somebody who's not even a club rugby player, the fact that he will play 50 tests is quite funny, I find. But what are we saying here? What are we saying? So Aldo Sharpshooter is saying France Day is going to be interesting. I think he will come on for Damon Delendi, and Williams will probably go to 12. Yeah, but at the same time, I think we could also see France Day coming on for Delendi and France Day going into 12. I think what for me excites me the most about the 23 is the amount of versatility across that across the backline, because as I said, there are so many options you got. You can have France Day at 12, you can have France Day at 15, you can have Williams at 15, you can have Williams at 12, you can have Galant at 15, you can have Galant at outside centre if you really wanted to. You could have Pollard shifting to 12 if there were injuries, and Alton laying at 10. We've seen that sort of 10-12 axis with Pollard and Alton Yankees to really good effect. I would love to see Willemse slotting at 12 at some stage in this game, because I think Willemse, whilst Alton Yankees is on, I think if you see an Alton Yankees, Willemse, France Stain, and Warwick Galant all in this park at the same time, as well as like Kanya I think that could be incredibly exciting from an attacking perspective. But there are a lot of different options, so I think that the way we use the bench will be very interesting, because there are so many different things you can do with it. Same with the forwards, for example. Frank and Foster can replace even Etzebeth Luetiaga, or we can place Peter Steph Toy. Quacker Smith can cover the entire back 3, so he can replace any of Sieg Lisi, Peter Steph Toy, and Dwayne Mullen. So there's a lot of options this weekend. So I think that whatever the issues, or whatever injuries, whatever is going wrong, there are players who can change. There are fetchers on the bench. There are players who add physicality on the bench. There are players that add pace to the game. There are players who are very good tactically, and the likes of France Day and the likes of Elton Young, who's got a very good tactical kicking game. So for me, there's a lot of different options in this game. So Mora saying that Galanta's not quick enough. That's very interesting. If there's one thing I definitely did not take out of the URC, it's that Warwick Galanta's slow. So I'm not sure I agree with that assessment. Ryan saying, where's Thomas Toy? Thomas Toy didn't travel. He's not part of this current squad. He was left behind us, so we'll probably see Thomas Toy against Argentina. They can't start subbing at the 30-minute mark and still expect to win. I disagree, actually. What is the difference between, I mean, if everybody's saying that Malcolm Marx can play, 70, 60, 70 minutes, what's the difference between him playing 60, 70 minutes from the get-go and being replaced for the last 10 as opposed to playing, putting on 30 minutes, playing 50 minutes from the bench? I personally think that we get too obsessed about the first 15, 20 minutes. As much as I say we need to start well, I'm quite happy to see players coming off the bench to really good effect. Because it's worked in the past. It can work. Yeah, I mean, again, you obviously don't want to be chasing a game, but there's a lot of logic to it. Same as players came back from injury, starting them, because if they're playing badly, they can be taken off, and if that person that they take them off for gets injured, they can come back on. Whereas, for example, if you stop Malcolm Marx and he gets injured, and Joseph Dweber comes on and he's not having a good game, or you've got no options, absolutely no options whatsoever. And we have seen injuries in almost every single game. We have seen an early sub from the box, injury-wise, for the last 3 matches. Faf de Klerk lost to 30 seconds against the All Blacks in the first test. That last game against Wales, who went off? Jason Colby went off against Wales, and we had him without most of the game. We saw Jesse Creel go off last week early on. So we have had injuries very early across the last 3 tests. So the idea of versatility for me is quite important. Contender says, Alton better step up. I would have preferred 21 Henderson, 22 Steyn, 23 LaRue. Fun fact, Galanta's record in the 14 jersey, 1 game versus Canada, they scored a try. Whereas Nikani give him a chance at 3/18. Ethan says, really can't see why Fussy was left out. Perfect situation for him to start. He got ahead of Mapimpi, I don't agree. Tabu says, I was hoping Andre would start at 12. Not saying Dan Lindy has played badly, but I'm just curious to see if the Quinn's form translates to Boca. We will see Andre Esterhuizen start at 12 this year, I'm pretty sure. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts next week, for example. And I think he'll probably start back-to-back tests in Argentina, or against Argentina. Just Rock Up TV says, happy to let players given a chance to redeem themselves. Must show belief in all players in the squad. I like that. Keenan says, interesting selection. Would love Billy in the mix, but only 23 players can be chosen. Albie says, our record isn't great in Oz. Should we not have gone with the strongest team first, then try these guys out? It says, nothing wrong with Ox. Whoever needs to sort out a set piece. Dwayne, David Dillon needs to step up a notch. Happy to see Faf back. David says, Dwayne needs our support. The more he sees positive remarks, the more confident he can become and show what he can do. Let's just back our team and coach staff, win or lose. How do you balance versatility whilst ensuring the back specialize in their role? I actually don't know, to be honest. I don't know what the answer is there. And I suppose maybe the answer is within your franchise. You kind of hopefully get to play predominantly in the role that you will. But I mean, for example, Damian Willemse has been fantastic at 12 for the Stormers, and he will go back to being a 12 for Stormers, and yet has played very little. Well, I suppose he played more than probably thought he was going to. But he's not going to start 12 for the Box, for example. But Soda says, my only worry is France age. Will he still be able to play come the World Cup? Well, we're going to have to wait and see, And if we don't see him now, then we don't know. So again, you play France Stain for a couple of games, and if he's playing badly, you can sit there going, shit, maybe we need to look at somebody else. But if he plays well and he doesn't look like he's out of his depth at all, then that's fine. Then we're happy with him, and we reckon he can make the World Cup. But if you don't play him, then you'll never know. Tim Lyon says, Alton very good distributor of the ball. Mark says, Mark's to start is a vital move, but it's not a rugby thing, says Nino. But yeah, what is a rugby thing? If you want to try and start suggesting it's another thing, then you can get off the stream. Because, there are rugby reasons about it. Every player must get a second chance. We are glad and owner one ways. Daniel says, Kalanta/Willemse combo were brilliant in the URC. We're excited to watch the box. I'm glad somebody picked up on that because that is something that I said in my team announcement video. Kalant and Willemse, those two together are very, very exciting. And they feed off each other. And I think that those two are going to find a lot of space this weekend. And so I think for me that's one of the most exciting selections, the fact that we're going to see those two playing in amongst each other. And we saw how Willie Leroux and Damien Willemse were very much creating a lot of space, and they were operating quite nicely. And I'm hoping that we'll see that between Kalant and Willemse as well, and the Kanya Amp, for example. So I think there's quite a lot of ball playing players who can find space and you can bring something quite different. So I think, Warwick Kalant's a very, very, very different 14 to JC Creel, and a very different 14 to Colby and to Curly Aronson. He kicks with both feet very well, by the way. He's a player who spots space. He's very good in the counter attack. Again, not necessarily in just sort of X factor speed, for example, but he sees space, he creates space, and when he's on form, Kalant makes things happen. And again, everyone's having an absolute meltdown after his 14 minutes against Wales, where he wasn't phenomenal, but Warwick Kalant was one of the best players in the URC. So give him an opportunity, let him start, let him see what he can do. Why can't Evan Ruiz get a chance to play? My advice for you is to just be patient, because I think you're going to see him against Argentina. Tom Bailey says, still love the box love from Fiji. I feel coach need to play players at their natural position because a bad performance can hurt their confidence. Contender, happy birthday, says happy birthday, Steve. Thank you very much, Contender. I appreciate that. Angus saying, I would love to see the team defend in the position as selected, but attack like they did against the All Blacks with Damien Willemse as the first receiver. Richard says the team are likely to win if they stop areas to stay disciplined. Nicely says, I think Strauss can make the World Cup. After all, Alan Wynne-Jones is on course. Alan Wynne-Jones is going to play there next year. I mean, it's bizarre. How he keeps going, I've got no idea. The one that says, glad we don't have a 6-2 split, quite risky if we go to the World Cup. Nondamiso says, Kalant and Willemse combo scored and orchestrated so many tried. The Stormers looking forward to seeing them together. Ryan says, Steve, what's your thoughts on JJ ex-Stormers lock? Which JJ? So I'm just trying to BK, happy Steve, get plenty of beers in for tonight, chap. Yeah, we're gonna need it too. Playing blooming Liverpool tonight. It's gonna be a disaster. Disaster. Xbox says, who cares? Two New Zealand referees in both games. I'm not excited about rugby anymore. Sorry for my negativity. We'll be fine. We'll pull in together and we'll be fine. Sabran Suarez says, I think Jasper Wiese was hard done by. Yeah, but I think we know what Jasper Wiese brings. He's now very. I think he's very. I think he's pretty comfortable now in the box setup. So, I think that we will probably see him, at the end of the tour quite a lot, playing in familiar conditions for him. But I think that's also the nice thing, Jasper Wiese has come in and he's played well, and he's now like, cool, well, we can back him. He's part of the setup. We now know exactly what he can bring. Kwagga Smith, for example, very comfortable in the setup. So Jasper Wiese, I think, is unlucky, but I think Kwagga Smith's versatility is always going to have him ahead, because Kwagga Smith can cover 3 positions, Jasper Wiese covers 1. So Jasper Wiese works very well in the bomb squad. But it's a bit limited when it's only a 5-3 split because he doesn't cover as many positions as Kwagga Smith does, which you can understand. Seeing the press conference, by the way, has just started. We'll have that up. So Jesse Creel is still concussed, so he wasn't available for selection. Is the news coming out of there? I think we'll probably see Kobus Reinhoff back quite soon, but I don't think he was ready for this weekend. He is still coming back from quite a long injury. Jazaka TV says, if we have good lead changes, would like to see with 25 to go. Smith at 8, Willemse at 12, Stain to 15. David must throw in properly, man. He had, to be fair, I mean, he had one skew line out. So let's see how it goes this weekend. Mark says, Steven, you should be open to, well, first of all, first of all, please get my name right. Please spell my name right. It's like the one thing I'd like in my life. You should be open to positive criticism without taking offense. It's not hate on players. Come now. Yeah, but I mean, Michael, you just come in here and very, very negatively entire team, and they're having a meltdown. And I don't do meltdowns. If anybody's been here for long enough, I don't do meltdowns, people. I don't do meltdowns. Again, as I said, and somebody said it very well. Right now, Joe Sturman needs our support. If he plays badly again this weekend, you know, he's not gonna keep getting picked if he's playing badly. But he's had one bad game, and he deserves another opportunity, and he deserves to be backed by us. You know, you spend 7-8 years at professional level getting yourself to this position, and you deserve to have that opportunity, and you deserve to show everybody what you did, because before he went to France and things have slowed down a little bit, he was probably one of the best hookers in the country. So go and ask a Cheetahs fan, for example, if Joseph Weber should be a Springbok after all that he did for them, all those years ago. Go and ask Stormers fan right now. Go and ask Stormers fan right now, even after that game. Go and right now. Are you upset that he's coming? And I'm gonna sit there saying, no, we've got a world class player in at hooker. You know, we've replaced Bongi and Manambi. So yeah, Ryan says ex-Stormers, it's JD Chickling. Okay, I'm with you. Do you think he can make the box squad in the future? I think if he had stayed in South Africa, I think he would be in the box squad now, personally. You know, I think I really rate JD Chickling. But I think that it's very difficult for you to I think it's very difficult for you to make a box squad whilst being based in Japan. If you are playing top 14, you're playing in the Premiership, I think you can make a box squad, but I don't think very few players make a box squad from Japan. If you're already in the box squad, you usually keep your spot playing in Japan, but very few players will make the box squad from Japan. So, I mean, he's 27 years old, so it's a bit frustrating, because I think, as I said, if he'd stayed here, then I think he could have been, he could very much have been on the Springbok radar. Xander says 100% back in his 23. I think the coaching staff is doing a brilliant job in prepping us for the World Cup. Dale Newton says 6-2 will be back. 2 engines beats 2 spoilers 90% of the time. Fresh forwards win the games. I'm really not getting touchy, Michael. Like, I'm really not. So if you think I am, then I think you just want me to be, because I'm really not going to get touched. Chief, it's a nice day outside. It's sunny. I want to go have a beer later on a Monday because I can. And yes. And it's not even a rugby channel. It's actually a sports channel. So I don't want to go into your spelling, but I need you to get your facts right. First of all, factually, my name is not spelled like that. Factually, this is Forever Sports, and it's a sports channel. So factually, you're right. It's not a rugby channel. No, it's a spelling channel. It is, however, a facts channel. So factually, get my spelling right. I'm not asking too much. Come on. If you're gonna tell me I'm not taking criticism, well, at the very least, spell my name right. Somebody else did it the other day. They corrected it, and they were like, "Sweet." Got to preach the sermon out here. Larry says Durban had more than one bad game. I would have played Dion Fourie. I mean, Durban's only played 3 matches for the Springboks. He's only played 3 tests. So, Ryan says, as a Storms fan, I'm absolutely delighted Durban has joined us. Exactly. Ryan says, cheers, champ. Thanks for the great show. Short Rich, I'll reply to your message now. I would appreciate it. James says, Evan Lewis is more than ready. Kalan's the dangerous player. Thanks so much, SPRINGBOK. Look, Mike, just take a hike, Chief. I really don't care. I'm here to chat about rugby and chat about sport. So factually, you're just being irritating now. But yeah. So I think, yeah, looking at this team, we're going to wrap up in a little bit because I've got a few things to do, and we're going to have the press conference up later. But I want to talk about something, and I've forgotten about what it is. That's left me, I think. Nope, can't remember. What I will say, because again, I think it's worth repeating, because a lot of people have been asking about me. If you go back to I see that people like Evan Lewis, for example, are coming up once again. If you go back to the press release when they announced the squad, Jacques Ninalba said that this is going to be the squad for Australia, and there'll be a different squad for Argentina. which means that your likes of an Evan Lewis will probably play. I reckon I can probably safely clock on the block say Evan Lewis will have 3 caps to his name by the time he goes into the end of the tour. I can probably comfortably say Ulrich Lowe will have 4 tests to his name by the time he goes in the end of the tour. Because I think that we're going to see both those players play against Argentina. I think we'll please see Thomas Atoy play against Argentina. I think we're going to see Salman Murat and Ruan Nokia play against Argentina. I think we're going to see Kubas Reynolds play against Argentina. I think we will see Kanan Moody potentially debut against Argentina. I reckon that we could see it. So, again, in terms of worrying about players who are going to play, let's wait to the end of the Rugby Championship because we are 2 matches in. We've already seen Kirkley Aronsa, for example, come in and take his opportunity. We've already seen a couple of players really stand up, seen a couple of players fall to the side. But I reckon by the end of the Rugby Championship, we're going to be sitting with probably a squad who will have about 4 or 5 players who are about 22, 23, all with about 3, 4 caps. And that's kind of what they want to do. They want to build an extended 43-man group who have played international rugby. And what I keep telling people is that on the end of your tour, as we said, there are 7 matches. There are SAA games and 4 tests. There are 7 matches in a month. So there's so much opportunity for all these players to play. Evan Lewis will put on a Springbok shirt or an SA Select or SA15 shirt probably about 6 to 7 or if not 8 times this week. So don't stress. His time will come and we will see him. But there's a plan. There is a plan. Mike says it's a nice wake-up call for Jasper. He needs to not let his head go and give away penalties. He has a pretty dodgy history of giving away penalties. Thanks so much, David. Appreciate it. As their press conference, it is currently happening at the moment, so that'll be happening the next hour. I'm WH, but if not triple. Okay. I think France saying could be the first player to win 3 World Cups. Wouldn't that be something? Oxford Red will demonstrate why they are boxed against Oz this weekend. Says Quinton. Is Smith enough to cover 8? Yeah, definitely, I think. Carl says, what did I tell you? My prediction are always the opposite of the end result. Predicted Box win, All Blacks win. Yeah, cheers, mate. Matthew says, do you think the height difference between Malherbe and Dwebo causes problems in the scrum? I don't think so. It's weird how it's become such a big thing within the box. The whole sort of the height of the scrummages and stuff like that, and that's what everybody reckons that the front rows have been so successful that they generally pair players of similar heights within each other. But I mean, if you're looking at the heights of the various players, Malcolm Marx is a lot taller than the other 2. I think Mongi Manami is 1.75, Joe Strib is 1.8, Malcolm Marx is 1.88. So there is about 13 centimeters difference between Bongi and Malcolm Marx. I can't make a call on that. I'm not a front rower, so I've got absolutely no idea how much of a difference it makes. But it does seem to make a difference. So, yeah, but I still, as I said, I have my full confidence in Joseph Weber. And I think that if he doesn't play well, then we're going to see Johan Kobbelaar at the end of the tour anyway. And we're going to have Bongi Manambi back. So I'm certainly not freaking out about it. Albert says, glad there's not many changes from previous tests. 8 tests left and 3 SAA games. So Russ will get a go. I thought Lowe would have been there at least. Thanks so much, Frank. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Dave. Thank you, everybody, for the birthday message. Really appreciate it. Lots of people scrub with Malherbe. Yeah, so we will have press conferences throughout the week. In terms of what press conferences we will have, obviously we're not in Australia because money is a thing. But the schedule for the press conference, we will have Jacques Niaba. I don't know who else is in the press conferences after at the moment. But we'll have that up later. Then tomorrow we will have another press conference. It'll be with a coach and a player. I'm sure it'll be Dion Davids because he usually does the Monday press conference. And then on Wednesday, we will have a 4-player press conference. There'll be 2 on Wednesday. There'll be 2 on Friday. 2 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday. Then on Friday, it's the captain's press conference, which is with Sia Khaleesi and Dontia Stick. That's quite early on Friday. And then on Saturday is the game itself. I don't know if we're going to be able to do the press conference on Saturday. I don't know if they're going to do a virtual one. If they don't, unfortunately, we're not there. But we will have press conferences throughout the week. People, thank you very much for all of the birthday messages. I appreciate it. I'm going to go and finish a lot of the work so I can have a beer and just chill a bit. So, yeah, thanks so much for jumping on and for getting involved in the stream. As always, very appreciated. Please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. As somebody says, maybe we can get to 17,000 today because we are sitting with two more people. 2 more people subscribe and we're on 17,000, which should be quite cool. But yeah, people have a fantastic day. Keep safe, keep well, and we'll chat to you guys tomorrow in our usual return to the sort of daily news show. But that's the lineup, and let's wait and see how it goes.